Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Skip Mason,
pastor, preacher, historian, author,
teacher, librarian, archivist, world traveler,
collector, family historian, avid reader, and creator of the popular Vanishing Black Atlanta Facebook page.
But a lot of folks who love history.
Most importantly,
he's our
dad who loves his family and who taught us the importance of our history and having important conversations.
Join him now for this episode of Conversations with Dr. Skip.
Well, good afternoon, my brothers and sisters. Good Sunday afternoon. I am so excited and so delighted to be with you today to share with an amazing group of women who are leaders of their respective sororities, who are going to come and to share with us today a little bit about some amazing women from the CME Church who were a part of their organization, still is a part of the organization, and who led tremendously during the time that they served. I am Skip Mason, pastor of the West Mitchell Street CME Church in Atlanta, Georgia, and host of CME150 Facebook Live conversation. And so I greet you in the wonderful and marvelous name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I trust and pray that you had a great worship experience this morning, and that you've had a chance to get a little to eat, and that now you are ready to hear this great conversation today. Let me first of all acknowledge and greet our senior bishop, Lawrence L. Reddick III, and Mrs. Wendy Jones Reddick, the chair of the College of Bishops, Bishop Kenneth Wayne Carter, and Mrs. Rosia Carter, our distinguished College of Bishops, and their spouses. And let me also greet Bishop James Walker, who is the chair of the CIT committee, Mrs. Dolores Walker, and my bishop, Bishop Thomas Lewis Brown Sr., and Dr. Louise Baker Brown. He's also the co-chair. And let me thank Dr. Teresa Duhar for all the work that she continues to do to support our beloved church. And so today we are going to look at Greek organizations and sororities, especially today, and the role that they play and have played in the development of this world and the great contribution of leaders that they have given us, including many of our bishops who are members and were members of the Divine Nine, and one very special one that you will see very shortly. It is not uncommon for the church and the Greek letter community, fraternities and sororities to have a relationship together. We know that at our general conferences, as I had to dig deep to pull up photos, whenever there's a general conference, you can always count on the sororities and the fraternities gathering together for the annual picture, as we see here with the AKAs, and of course the Deltas have gathered, and Phi Beta Sigma and Zeta Phi Beta together. We have Sigma Gamma Rho sorority. They were here at West Mitchell Street CME Church. And as many of you pastors know, that they have their Founders Day services. They do service projects as well. And so wherever you see them, whether we're at a conference or at a Unity Summit, we're going to always gather and take a picture, as I did with my brothers some years ago. And again, the Deltas, and I had to throw the Kappas in, Reverend Reginald Barnes, the Pastor Brown Memorial CME Church, President Maude Brown Porter's church, and of course the Omega. So I think I got everybody with the exception of Iota Phi Theta. And I just could not find a picture of them at the CME Church, but I'm going to continue to dig deep. But Greek letter organizations have been very much a part of our organization. Some of our bishops, as I mentioned, are members, bishop spouses. It's nothing to look on Facebook and see these two all wrapped up and draped up in Alpha Kappa Alpha. Of course, Barbara Campbell, our president of our Connectional Lay Council, and our international president of missionaries, Sister Jacqueline Scott, also an AKA. So we know the role that these organizations and the pride that we have with them today. But today we're going to be blessed with the presence of these dynamic women who are going to come and share a little bit about our member who have served, but also tell us a little bit about the work that the organization is doing, particularly during this age of COVID-19, the pandemic. As President Beverly Smith was telling me earlier, the Delta president, she survived being president under President Trump. So we got some stories to share, and we want you to share, hit your share button. And also, if you are a member of the Divine Nine, put that in the chat. And as I see them come up, I'll try to share some of them. I am excited today to welcome these wonderful leaders and presidents. My brothers and sisters, let us welcome the distinguished presidents of the Divine Nine and our own bishop, presiding prelate of the 5th Episcopal District. Let me do the honors of introducing each of them today. First, I want to present to you Dr. Glenda Baskin-Glover. She is an international Supreme Basileus of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and also has the distinction of being the president and CEO of Tennessee State University. We have my dear friend, President Beverly E. Smith, the national president and CEO of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Just a second. So glad to have President Smith with us. Let me also welcome President Rashida Liberty, the International Grand Basileus of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority, and the National President of Zeta Phi Beta, Valerie Hollingsworth Baker, will be with us soon. And then, of course, everyone knows this person in our church, the first female elected to the College of Bishops, Bishop Teresa Jefferson Snorton. And I don't think you need to guess what sorority she is a part of today. Ladies, good evening, good afternoon. We are so happy. I'm happy to have you all with me today. And I know that even on a Sunday, Sundays are work days for you. All of them at other obligations that they were working me in between. And I am so grateful to have them to spend a little time with us today. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Good evening. Glad to have you with us. We're going to move right into our first honoree, our legacy, Maude Porter Brown, who had the distinction of serving as the 7th international president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. And let me put her picture up. This is Sister Maude Porter Brown, a distinguished educator as well. And before Dr. Glover comes up to talk, take a look at this.
2 years later, on the 15th of January, at historically black Howard University in Washington, D.C., 9 co-eds led by Ethel Hedgeman courageously broke with tradition and founded the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, or AKA, the first college sorority started and incorporated by African American women. Young Miss Hedgeman, who was inspired by her English teacher's accounts of sorority life at Brown University, envisioned a support network for black women with like minds to coalesce their talents and strengths for the mutual uplift and benefit of others. The mission, crafted for Alpha Kappa Alpha, comprised 5 basic tenets that have remained unchanged since the sorority's inception, more than a century ago. These tenets are to cultivate and encourage high scholastic and ethical standards, promote unity and friendship among college women, study and help alleviate problems concerning young black females in order to improve their social stature, maintain a progressive interest in college life, and be of service to all mankind. Since
I wanted to share that. Dr. Glover, so glad to have you here with us. would you please tell us a little bit about your seventh Supreme Basileus? And then I want you to talk a little bit about the work that you've been doing as the International Supreme Basileus, and particularly the work with the HBCUs.
Thank you, Dr. Mason. I am so honored to be here today, and even more pleased to join this celebration as your 150 years of this powerful, historical CME Church. And it's so special to celebrate the women and share the information about some of the greatest leaders this country has ever known. I want to also acknowledge the first female bishop, Bishop Teresa Jefferson Snorton. Thank you for allowing God to lead you and elevate you to these unbelievable heights. So thank you very much for that. So tell you a little bit about Maude Brown Porter. I mean, I love this time period in which we find ourselves when more national attention is focused on Divine Nine leaders and four outstanding women of history, while proudly focused on the seventh international president of Alpha Kappa Alpha. And here's what makes her so great. She was godly and a visionary leader who dreamed of this very day, a day when we would have a very different conversation right now. One that includes how African American women are at the pinnacle of excellence. And we can celebrate Sister Marsha Fudge, the new Secretary of HUD. She dreamed of this day. Loretta Lynch, who served as Attorney General. Asa Maude, who served as the first treasurer, Black treasurer of the United States of America. We honor Kamala Harris, who's now the first Vice President of the United States. This is what she dreamed of. The other founders dreamed of this very day. So now she was a legend in Louisville, Kentucky, the first Black to do so many things. I mean, she expanded the YMCA to do more to empower women and eradicate racism. And she was an outstanding educator she was short of stature, but she stood her ground and made sure that certain things happened in the school system. Now recall, she was in the early 1930s. She was international president, AKA. I think it was from 1931 to 33. And so at the time of the height of segregation, when racism was rampant and there were just no rights that were respected in the African American community. So we were under that separate but equal doctrine. Remember now, Brown Board of Education didn't come on until like 20 years later. So, but she still found a way to serve. Alpha Kappa Alpha is a service organization. And so she was so significant, they renamed Chestnut Street Methodist Church. They renamed it Brown Memorial Church, CME Church in Louisville, as a tribute to Dr. Brown. And she just, her role in education, her role in politics, her role in advancing women's rights. And then she married a CME bishop, Dr. Porter, in 1948, and they became legends in Louisville. So she's just an integral part of Alpha Kappa Alpha history, the CME history. So this is more than a celebration for us, for all of the four of us who are here today. It's an acknowledgement, it's a recognition, it's a confession, it's like an admiration of these women, of a spiritual leader in Dr. Brown, a couple that changed Louisville and that changed this country.
Oh, that is wonderful. I tell you, we so appreciate your sharing this legacy of this great woman. You did mention that she was indeed married to the 17th bishop of our church, Bishop Henry Porter. And for that, we are very proud. And I know even Bishop Jefferson Snorton, who grew up in Kentucky, remember her, or remember hearing about her great accomplishments. So, Madam President, tell us about Alpha Kappa Alpha during the tenure as you've served as president. You've been very busy, and I think you all have finally somewhat calmed down a little, I guess, now that your sorrow is in the White House, and so we know that not only did you all celebrate, but that all of the sororities and fraternities celebrated this major accomplishment because she is one of us, as a part of the Greek letter movement and HBCUs. Madam President?
Yeah, we have a plan, and she's asked us to make sure that we don't just single out Alpha Kappa Alpha. And so I've been, as I've done these shows, I've tried to make sure I carried out her wishes, and that is to make sure that we include the Divine Nine, because we could not have done it. She could not have done it without the entire Divine Nine. So we just have agreement among us that we always recognize that it was not an Alpha Kappa Alpha effort. I mean, we're proud of her as a member of the sorority, absolutely. But we know that it took more than just the 300,000 Alpha Kappa Alpha women. But now, yes, we settled down. So I don't think this is such an inspirational moment. There is no settling down. We're so happy that these 4 years are behind us, that we'll be singing in the street and dancing, you know, in church. We're going to go back to our Pentecostal roots, just dance in the church as much as we can. We're just celebrating. So, but we've had to, you know, you asked how we doing now, how we managing. We just had to pivot. All of us in Divine Nine, we've had to pivot and redirect our operations, because we're still in this virtual format, but we still find a way to serve. All of us are service organizations. So we find a way to serve and to make sure the community still gets the benefit of our service. So, and we've all worked together. I mean, I know 2 things that we've done, Alpha Kappa Alpha. Number one, along with the Divine Nine, we got together, the Divine Nine organized this massive and unparalleled get out the vote effort. You know, we claim 5 million of us together, and 5 million actively engaged voters. We can count our families and stuff, and there's no small sum. So all of us did something in this movement, in this get out the vote movement. So what Alpha Kappa Alpha did, we made sure we had 1,000 lawyers from around the country to make sure that they protected the vote. You know, we partnered with the National Bar Association, NACP, and Reverend Jerry Young with the National Baptist Convention. We partnered with them to make sure the vote not only was it cast, but had to be protected and counted. We didn't know what to expect in this election. We still don't know what to expect right now. Mm-hmm. But so that was the first. And the second thing, specific to Alpha Kappa Alpha, our HBCU initiative. We made sure we have a project. You know, being an HBCU president, I know firsthand the problems that HBCUs have, and it's so related to funding. So we do $1 million in one day. We raise $1 million from the membership, and a few others who throw in and help us. But we said we're going to dedicate one day during the month of September where we raise $1 million in one day. They said, "What? Are you crazy? We can't do that." So yes, we can. So, you know, we go on a fast right before we do it. You know, you really want to empty it out and let God pour in and help. You go on a fast. And so we were the first time we did it, and we raised $1 million. So because we were starting endowments at HBCUs, because, you know, we suffer. Sustainability is what we need, and endowments represent sustainability. So we've already given out 75 of these. So we do $50,000 to $100,000. The first one was Bennett College to get $100,000 for an endowment. We want to make sure that we at least help HBCUs where they need it most. We do the remaining 25. We've done 75 already. We'll do 25 more this year and finish them up. So that's the importance of HBCUs. So we brought attention to the whole world by HBCUs. That's where we are now. This is the year of HBCUs. Yeah. So, and we brought that world attention because it shows the caliber of people who graduate from HBCUs, and to call attention to the contributions that have been made by HBCU graduates. So Kamala Harris, a Howard graduate, one of the most prominent HBCUs in the country. So, and it shows that that's where we are now. So, and I'm waiting for somebody to ask me that question again. Are HBCUs relevant? There's no way. I think people are embarrassed to ask that question now. The relevance of HBCUs, because the value add is so significant now. No one can ever raise that question again. Are HBCUs relevant? We've proven the relevancy of HBCUs. We know the worth. We know the value of HBCUs now. And so this is a happy moment for HBCU students, graduates, workers, those who pay for someone to go to HBCU. These are all happy moments now for members of the historical Black college community.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, we commend you and the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority for the great work that you continue to do and the wonderful partnerships that you have within the community. And we also commend the sorority for taking a part in the development and making of our Bishop Teresa Jefferson Snorton. And some photos from her days as a young Sarah at Vanderbilt University. And if you have not heard her preach, Madam President.
You know, I Googled and heard one of them.
I know you did.
My husband said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'm okay."
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm glad for
it's amazing. She blessed me. I heard her. She blessed me.
Yes, indeed. And Bishop, you want to say anything while we're in this Alpha Kappa Alpha moment? Bishop is really on to talk about after President Smith, she and President Kennedy were good friends. But in this Alpha Kappa Alpha moment, Bishop, would you like to say anything? Unmute yourself, or did I? Let's see. Make sure.
No, I can do it. Just want to say I'm proud to be a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. So proud of our sister. Where did you dig up these pictures? so proud of my sorority, Dr. Glenda Glover, and proud of the sorority that really does model excellence. And it's just a great day to have HBCUs as well as the Divine Nine highlighted, both in the mainstream media, but certainly as we in the church appreciate the ways in which sisterhood and fellowship make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bishop. And Dr. Glover, thank you, my dear friend and sister. It's so good to see you. And I think I may have put up Mrs. Carmen Leonard Williams' picture, but I also want to place Lady Clarice Flake Cunningham. She's also another AKA the wife of our late Bishop Cunningham, who's always draped in pink and green every time we see her on Facebook. And so we thank you and all of the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha in the CME Church. We salute you today.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. And now let me segue to the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Would you just take a look at this, please?
Women were getting tired. They couldn't own land. They couldn't initiate a divorce. There were so many things denied of women, but they wanted the vote.
With Soror Mary Trick Sorrell at the lead, the members of Delta Sigma Theta came together as an organization and marched in support of white women in their effort to get the vote, even though they would not have that same right for years to come.
And so it is my honor and pleasure to present to you the president and CEO of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, the Honorable Beverly Smith, my dear friend. Madam President, hello.
How are you, Dr. Mason? You know, I'm so, Skip and I have known each other for a very long time, so I have to say, Dr. Mason, to be very professional today.
Well, you're very kind. You're very kind. You know, it's like when I go home, when I go to my mother's house, the first thing she says is, "Hey, Skipper." Okay, so that brings me to right where I need to be in her house. But I am so glad to have you with us and to, first of all, to share about an amazing woman, Dr. Yvonne Kennedy, who served as the 19th national president of your sorority, an amazing CME woman as well, and also to talk about some of the wonderful things that you've done and been doing with your sorors during a most interesting time period, as we discussed earlier. And so would you please just tell us about Dr. Kennedy's work as president of Delta Sigma Theta?
Absolutely, Skip. You know, the blessing I had is that I actually worked for Dr. Kennedy. Dr. Kennedy was, Yvonne was president of Delta Sigma Theta when I was executive director of Delta Sigma Theta. So we got a chance to see each other on a regular basis and work with each other during her term. There she is. Oh my gosh. You know, she is astounding. I have to admit, I don't know how she did it all. She was not only the national president for Delta Sigma Theta, but at the same time, she was the president of Bishop State College, and she was a member of the House of Representatives in Alabama. I mean, this woman did it all. You know, she was always stately. For those of you who knew her, she always commanded attention. She was always at the forefront of things. I have to tell you, I went back and looked at some of the notes we had in terms of what she did, and I found something that Bishop Vashti Murphy McKenzie said, and I think it just epitomizes her. She had a swag. She could walk into a room and command it in a matter of seconds, and she absolutely could. And when you talk about Yvonne Kennedy, I looked up I went to your website for the CME Church, and I saw something there. The theme on the website said, "Getting back to basics as we envision our way forward, taking care of God's business." That theme that the CME Church truly is the same theme that Yvonne had and lived during her lifetime with us. She died in 2012. We got a chance to be at the funeral. I have to tell you, it was in a convention center with 3,000 people and a parade and a marching band. I have never, ever been to a funeral like that, but it was incredibly impressive to me. But, during her time, she really did go back to basics in terms of what she did. She renovated our headquarters operation when I was executive director. She renovated that building, tore it apart from the bottom up and rebuilt it. Had Delta Shares did a capital improvement campaign during the time she was in. She did the first major reclamation that we did in Delta Sigma Theta. And again, back to basics in terms of what we did. She worked with a program called School America. And I will never forget the program because we got involved with the Bush family. And I can remember going to the White House at a luncheon with Barbara Bush at the request of Dr. Kennedy. We really combined together with them in the Kellogg administration. Education, obviously, was extremely important to her, but she wanted to make sure that we were focused on literacy, focused on School America in terms of what we needed to do. She had a Hugo Disaster Relief Fund. She was the first. We now have Emergency Response Fund that Delta uses, but she began that, again, back to basics of the needs for people. She valued education, as I mentioned. She received actually an NAACP Image Award for the contributions Delta made to the arts. She was an outstanding, as you can see by the trophy that she received there, leader. She was a great president at Bishop State College. She was in the Alabama legislature for decades and did an incredible job. I can't say enough about the kind of person she was and the opportunity. She was Miss Alabama State. Yes, I see her picture there in terms of what she did. But she was a leader, an activist, an educator, and she passionately served the community she was in, the state of Alabama, and the sorority. And I was blessed to really have the opportunity to work with her. So I'm so glad that you all are acknowledging these outstanding Greek women who were a part of the CME Church and shared leadership in their organization. So many times we hear members of the sorority sometimes say that, their pastors or their churches will tell them that they can't worship two people. It's an issue we have with renouncement. They can't worship sorority and God. We don't worship our sororities. Our intent, I think all of us would say, is we are all very focused on our Christian faith and make sure that we do all we can to understand who our God is and whose we belong to. And that partnership between the churches and the sororities is a very strong one. So thank you for the opportunity to get a chance to talk about our beloved Yvonne Kennedy.
Thank you, President Smith. Now, take a few moments and tell us about Delta Sigma Theta under your administration and all of the things that you all have been doing, great things you've been doing in spite of a president and in spite of a hurricane and in spite of COVID-19.
I can't believe you told people that I said I hate I served when Trump did, but that's okay.
I don't think you're alone in that category.
That was between us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was between us. But what I will say, and I think for all of us, coming in at a time when society faced such difficulty, and there we are with our members of Congress, social action had to be at the forefront. And that is one of those things. Where did you find these pictures? I'm going to be like the bishop. It's one of the things that we really do focus on. And there we are with Keisha Lance Bottoms. And I was acknowledged. There she is, a fantastic mayor. And I am pleased to say that the General Assembly still chose to consider me an outstanding citizen of Georgia, even though we had the issues that we've had recently. But we have worked very diligently. We've tried to work very hard in this COVID environment. We tried not to skip a beat because I think that was important for the sororities and folks to understand where we were and what we're about. We tried to make sure we maintained our membership's activities. We still do membership intake. We have a virtual process complete with animations. We did 7 regional conferences last summer for 23,000 SOARs, which is not something you ever want to do. I think I did mention to you earlier, Zoom is now a 4-letter word. It keeps us so very busy. We got engaged in drive-bys, and it's funny because I mentioned the other day, I hadn't thought about it. I think COVID in this environment has given us another meaning for drive-bys. We have done drive-by voter registration, worked on voter suppression. We have done drive-by community service. We did membership intake by dropping our pyramids, their needs for membership intake drive-by on their front doorsteps. I think this COVID environment has forced us to do what Black people always do, and that's be innovative and inventive in terms of what we do. The best in us comes out in crisis when you look at people of color. I would piggyback on what Dr. Glover said, the fact that all the Divine Nine organizations and the Black women's organizations under her leadership and direction came together to make sure we did what we needed to do in this environment was incredible. I'm not so sure, had we not faced the crisis we were in, that we actually would have come together like we did. But I think the friendship, and I see my friend Grand Vals or Hollingsworth Baker has joined us. I don't know that the 4 of us, the 4 sororities, would have developed the kind of relationship and the 5 fraternities that we had it not been for the crisis that this country faced that we felt we had to do strength with. So what did COVID do for us? It forced us to come out of our boxes.
Yes, it did.
Us to be innovative and inventive. It forced us to make sure our community showed the strength that only African-American communities have.
And as Brother Greg Lewis in Atlanta, the lay leader for Georgia, says, it forced the church to come out of the building as well.
There you go.
And so we certainly are in agreement with that. But we thank you. So good to see Madam President Valerie Hollingsworth Baker joining us. Bishop Jefferson Snorton, in that same light as we continue to share on President Yvonne Kennedy, Dr. Yvonne Kennedy, would you just share with us about her as a staunch member of Stewart Chapel CME Church and her activity in the CME Church?
Thank you, Dr. Mason. What an honor. As Dr. Smith has said, Dr. Yvonne Kennedy was an amazing woman. She, all the things that she accomplished in her sorority, as president of a historically Black college, and as a Alabama state legislature are amazing. But in the midst of that, she did not neglect her church and her faith. As you said, she was a real active member at the Stewart Memorial CME Church, a lifelong member there in Mobile, Alabama. And not only was she active in the local church, served as a missionary and a lay leader and a Sunday school teacher and Christian educator, but she also held those same roles and had the same impact in our district and in the region and really throughout the Connectional Church. She was a strong advocate for Christian education. She believed in Sunday school and Bible study, and she didn't talk about it, but she would teach. She would literally, sometimes she would even preach. She was active as a missionary because she really believed in community service. And her faith was so evident in the kinds of bills that she sponsored. She was always looking out for the least and the lost. Some of the things that she advocated for were improved education curriculum as a state legislator, as well as appropriate aid for people who had been victims of natural disasters like hurricanes and tornadoes. A lot happened in the arena of government to provide assistance was the direct result here in the state of Alabama of her efforts to make sure that people who were suffering and people who were on the margins and people who were oppressed were not forgotten about. She was just an amazing, amazing woman. She was a lay leader. She was a local lay leader at the regional level, and a lay nationally. And one of the ways in which her impact on the lay organization of our church has been embodied was with the renaming of a scholarship. There was a scholarship in our church called the Graham Webb Scholarship, named after two men who were leaders. But after her death, the lay organization renamed that scholarship because they knew that she had promoted that scholarship, she believed in the scholarship, and she was worthy of now the scholarship being called the Graham Webb Kennedy Scholarship. Absolutely amazing. Last, I was privileged to serve with her for a few years on the board of trustees at Miles College, and she was a powerhouse. She really understood the ins and outs and the intricacies of running a college, an historically Black college, and she was a resource. When she died, it was a tremendous loss to the board of trustees at Miles College. Personally, she was just a friend. She encouraged me. She supported me. As a matter of fact, I give her credit for me ultimately deciding to offer myself for bishop. In 2006, after our elections of bishops at the General Conference, where she was always a delegate, she served on major committees because she was a powerful woman of influence, but you could count on her to get things done. So at the 2006 General Conference, after the election of Bishop Thomas Brown Carter, she got up and congratulated them and made the appropriate speech that she ended with saying, "And I hope this is the last time we only elect male bishops." I heard that. And I experienced something in my being when she said that. I agreed with her. At the moment, I did not have any intention of it being me, but the encouragement of several others like her. And I can tell you, at the 2010 General Conference, Dr. Yvonne Kennedy had my back. She worked the room. She encouraged people. She supported me. She had a reception, invited key people to come. When she believed in something, from that moment on, I knew that everything that I did, and when I became her bishop, I wanted to make her proud because Dr. Yvonne Kennedy was one of those amazing women that only comes by every once in a while. But if you know her, it truly is a blessing. And I can still say to this day, I miss her terribly. There are times when I would like to just ask her thoughts on something. I try to conjure up her spirit because she was just such a wise woman who literally poured herself out for her community, for her church.
Yes, she did. And the city of Mobile honored her. Take a And so today we honor and remember a great leader in the church and the 19th national president of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Dr. Yvonne Kennedy. President Beverly Smith, thank you so much for sharing with us today. We appreciate it. Bishop Jefferson Snorton, as always, thank you. As I said, Bishop Jefferson Snorton has probably been the most frequent guest that I've had since I started this just a little over a year ago, but I'm so glad that she consented to come and to share with us on today. And we are delighted now that the third person within the CME Church to serve as a national president, Mrs. Evelyn Hood, who is also my member. I'm her pastor. At the West Mitchell Street CME Church, is a bona fide member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority. Take a look.
Since 1922, Sigma Gamma Rho has worked to enhance the quality of life in the community. The sorority was born from the needs of 7 school teachers to create a network of women working to impact the Black community through education. Over the years, the sisterhood has grown to include women from all professions and from all ethnicities. The 500 alumni and undergraduate chapters of Sigma Gamma Rho throughout the United States, the Caribbean, Europe, and Asia continue to support children, teens, and families through our national programs and initiatives.
I am so delighted today to have with us the newly installed, the newest member of the Divine Nine Presidents, at least the sororities, Sister Rashida Liberty. And I think you mentioned you were installed last year as the national president.
I came in virtually. August 1st was my first day.
Wow, bless you. Well, welcome. We are so glad to have you and that you would take some time to share a little bit about the amazing work of Dr. Evelyn Hood, our beloved member, who is watching in Atlanta from her home. Tell us a little bit about Dr. Hood, and then I'll have you tell us a little bit about what's going on with the great Sigma Gamma Rho sorority as you all plan your centennial celebration.
Yes, so it gives me great pleasure to recognize our 14th leader. And what I love most is that she's a leader that has personally groomed me as a leader. So she is a Georgia peach, born in Macon, Georgia, went to Payne College. Served where she has served as youth advisor, director in Christian education, and still proudly serves as a steward. She has been just a phenomenal woman. And I want to say something more personal on her. I read a quote that she wrote. She said, "My mom wanted me to be a nurse. My grandmother wanted me to be a secretary, and my grandfather wanted me to be a minister." Well, she served in all those capacities as a second grade educator for over 40 years. So she says she has worn all of those hats. And of course, being a great leader in Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, a very close friend of our Philo affiliates who has really helped get them off to the ground, and they still honor her to this day. She wanted to provide a way for women who didn't go to college to still affiliate with the organization as an affiliate member. So our Philo affiliates are something that is near and dear to her heart. She was the first to also establish our relationships and sustainable partnerships with the UNCF as well as the NAACP. And so we still keep those going. She is there's so many roles that you serve as you go up the ranks in the organization, but she is a heart and soul of Atlanta, is what we call it, Eta Sigma chapter. They are one of the largest chapters in our sisterhood, and we honor them. And she's been a proud member of Eta Sigma chapter for many years, and then climbed up the ranks and really became a regional director, which I'm proud to say I followed in her footsteps and became a regional director as well in the sophisticated Southeastern region, and then made her way to become national president of the sisterhood. And as national president, she is known for establishing the National Education Fund, which is a huge arm of our sisterhood that will go on record to give over 1 million scholarships. So she is really a phenomenal leader, a phenomenal woman, and a great mentor, someone who has always pulled my coattails and told me, she calls me Rashida too, Dr. Mason. So she doesn't call me Grant. She didn't call me Grant Bass, a regional director, but she called me by my first name to let me know I got to pull coattails sometimes. But she has just been a wonderful mentor, friend, and definitely honored and beloved in Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
Wow, thank you. What a beautiful tribute. And she not only pulls your coattail, she pulls the pastor's coattail. She is that voice. But so soothing, so calm, loves the sorority, loves God, loves the church. So tell us, what have you been doing as the international Grand Basileus in this virtual age?
Yeah, it's nothing like I would have imagined. And I echo something that I know Valerie Hollingsworth Baker stated. she, as coming off of their centennial for Zeta, she said, I never aspired to be the centennial Grand Basses. I became the Grand Basses at a time when the centennial event was held. And so everything in my administration as I'm going forward is, yes, planning the event and that celebratory moment in our sisterhood, but I am about sustainable.
Well, it looks like she's frozen, at least on my screen. And of course, that happens. Maybe she'll come back in just a second. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
Did I lose you?
Yes, but you're back with us now.
Okay, I'm not sure what that was about, but I did want to say that during this term, I have really been committed to not only planning the event of the centennial, but really looking towards what skill set that I bring to the organization, being in corporate America for over 30 years, of really signing some significant partners and bringing them to the table to help us with some capital campaigns. Our largest one being 7 schools that we will announce in 2022. We have already built 4 of those schools, so we will have 7 of those schools committed, and we are proudly marching towards $2.2 million in philanthropy in the year of 2022. And over 1 million service hours committed through our organization. So that's what my focus is on. And of course, like all of my Divine Nine sisters have stated, we are always committed to what social action agendas that we can get behind. It started with election season. It started with Georgia. Then it went into the Georgia Senate race and making sure we got voters out. We were successful at doing that. And now we are really focused on how do we eradicate COVID-19 in the best way.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, President Liberty, and what a very interesting name, by the way. Is there history tied to that name?
Yes, I always say that when people tell me your name is so cool, I say, well, there was a great man attached to it, Mr. Gregory Liberty, proud member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. But his family are the Liberties, and they were in Louisiana. And so they named themselves Liberty as a sign of freedom.
Wow.
So here I am.
I absolutely love it. Well, we are grateful to you for spending some time with us. We congratulate you as you lead Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority. And yes, West Mitchell Street has AKAs and Deltas and Zetas, but my God, there's a Sigma Gamma Rho in every corner, on every pew in the church. And we're grateful for that. And we absolutely love and adore Sister Evelyn Hood. And I could not be more prouder than to be her pastor in this season. And we thank you for sharing with us for these few moments. The city of Atlanta honored her. She has been recognized and honored many times, but I was glad to stand with her in City Hall chambers as she was recognized. And we just look forward to your centennial celebration and hoping that all of you will be able to get together very soon. Yes, indeed. So thank you. Thank you. And now we're going to share with the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority and one of our own CMEs who is so well known in our church, Mrs. Evelyn Jury Brown, a graduate of Morris Brown College, had the foresight, and God blessed her to lead her chapter in creating one of the major national projects, not only of Zeta Phi Beta, but of African-American women, the Stork's Nest Project. But before I bring the president on, please take a look.
January 16th, 1920, Zeta Phi Beta began as an idea conceived by 5 co-eds at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Arizona Cleaver, Myrtle Tyler, Viola Tyler, Fanny Petty, and Pearl Neal. These 5 women, also known as our 5 Pearls, dared to depart from the traditional coalition for Black women and sought to establish a new organization predicated on the precepts of scholarship, service, sisterly love, and finer womanhood.
It is just a delight to have the centennial president of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the Honorable Valerie Hollingsworth Baker, who has been to 2 or 3 events within the hour since we have been on the air. But I am so glad that she could stop by and share with us a little bit about her soror, Evelyn Brown, our beloved CME member, and also to bring us up to date and tell us what Zetas have been doing during this very interesting time. President Hollingsworth Baker, welcome. Glad to have you on. Would you please share a little bit about Sister Evelyn Brown? And you can unmute yourself, or let me make sure I don't have you muted.
Gotcha.
There you go. Okay.
Well, good afternoon, Dr. Mason, and thank you so very much for inviting me. And I'm glad that I was able to make it today. And I want to just say about my soror a little history about how special she is to our organization. You see, back in 1969, that's where it really all began. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated a relationship with the March of Dimes, and that was because of Evelyn Brown, who, with her chapter, Epsilon Zeta chapter, which is one of the chapters there in Atlanta, answered the call of the local March of Dimes Foundation to participate in a service project called at the time Better Infant Births. So Evelyn's chapter opened this shop in the spring of 1971 to provide infant clothing for socioeconomically disadvantaged pregnant women who attended these prenatal classes. And later on, the chapter named this project Stork's Nest. And the sorority adopted it nationally as a signature program in 1972, and became a cooperative project with the March of Dimes. So we've been a partner, a national partner with a national organization, March of Dimes, for 49 years and looking to go into our 50th year. We know that we would not have been where we are had it not been for Evelyn Brown. She was a woman you could look up to. She was a mover and shaker. She got things done. Her chapter was always on the move. She was a confidant to several of the past grands. I even had the pleasure of working with her when back in the late 90s when the national convention came to Atlanta, and she was the marshal. And I just looked at her just running from pillar to post, pulling in sponsorships, program participants, everyone that was needed to make that convention a success. And she, as I said, one of the nicest persons you would ever meet. And she embodies our principles, the principles of scholarship, service, sisterhood, and truly finer womanhood, because that is what we see in Evelyn Brown, finer womanhood.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And we appreciate that history of the organization and the wonderful relationship that you all have with March of Dimes. And we know how friendly, competitive it can be. I remember when I was the general president of Alpha Phi Alpha, the Zetas would always give us a run with the March of Dimes in terms of, events and activities, but it was all for a good cause, and I think that's what has been so unique and special about all of the Divine Nine organizations, that we may be a little competitive sometime, but when it comes down to serving mankind and womankind, we are all working towards the same cause. Tell us, Madam President, you're the centennial president, and let me see it. Let me share this, and then I'll ask you to come back and share a little bit about what you've been doing.
Zetas throughout the world continue to celebrate the legacy of our 5 triumphant pearls, making history in the areas of politics, entertainment, healthcare, journalism, military, entrepreneurship, and so much more. Sadly, after a magical and historic Centennial Founders Weekend celebration in Washington, D.C. in January 2020, the coronavirus reached the United States and hit our organization hard, claiming the lives of Zetas, amici, family members, and friends, while forcing us to cancel our June celebration.
Well, what a proud moment, not only for Zetas and Sigmas, but for all of the Divine Nine, to see you all in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Tell us, Madam President, what have you been doing and how's the sorority doing during these years of COVID-19 and the pandemic and all of that?
Well, Dr. Mason, it's been very difficult, I would say. We as leaders, we didn't expect this. You know, this is something that we just had to pivot and try to do things differently. Everything that I had to do, I had to start and think it had to be done virtually. I never stopped our intake in terms of once we just got geared up, and it took us a month to do that. We continued our intake. We did that virtually. We did our induction ceremonies virtually. For 10 solid weeks back to back, we did intake for the inductions. And I was at every single one, making sure. And I think sometimes that's the difference in when we look at what's happening in COVID and what we used to do and what we're doing now. What I think now happens is that I'm able to reach the sisterhood more, because when you were without COVID, you had to get on a plane, you had to get to where you got to go. You can only stretch yourself but so thin, and you could only be at so many places at the same time. But with COVID and now having to be on Zoom or WebEx or any of the other things that we have to do, or be Facebook Live, we are there saying, we can do this. We can be at this function. We could be that event. The sisterhood sees me more. The sisterhood, I can engage more with the sisterhood. We've still done our service projects. We do them virtually. We have different ways in which we do them. We do them with drive-by. Sometimes it's just drop off. We raise our funds virtually. Just this last year, we raised $707,000 for the March of Dimes, and it's the largest we've ever done since we have been with the March of Dimes. I mean, we're really proud of that, because we believe in what the March of Dimes stands for, and we put our money where our mouth is. And then we continue with our Stork's Nest programs, and now we're doing Stork's Nest virtually and reaching more women that are socioeconomically disadvantaged, because we are, we can touch them, because we can see them, and we can talk to them online and get to help them. What I think is most important is that we were able to come together as the Divine Nine, and we've been, since I've been on the team Divine Nine, as I like to call it, we have been very together. We have pulled together, and we're under one umbrella, and even though we do some of the same things all of our organizations do, but see, we've pulled together as one. We've learned that our voices are in mass. See, we have over 2.5 million people that we touch. But then when you bring all the others that come, all the auxiliaries and your families and everything, that's 5 million people. So it's our duty and our purpose to be able to get out there and, like John Lewis said, Honorable John Lewis, get into some good trouble. We have pulled together because of the politics to make sure that what has been going on the past 4 years didn't have to go on for another 4 years. We pulled together because of the census. We're now pulling together because of COVID-19, making sure that we pass the information on to our constituents and their families and their friends all over, not only the United States and the world, that we all can touch, so that they know they'll be more equipped to make a better decision for themselves and their families about what they should do if they should take the vaccine, and where they can take the vaccine, and what could be some of the effects of the vaccine. It's so important that we make sound decisions, logical decisions, coming from a place of knowledge. And that's our job. That's our job as presidents of these organizations, because they depend on us. They see us. Our members look to us to say, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to combat? What can we do to bring it together? So that's what we have been doing, not only just in our organization alone, with all of the things that we have done live, we are doing virtually, and we're even doing more. Our membership has even increased. We've increased in new members. We've increased in reclamation. People are, because you see, they want to belong. They want to belong to something that makes sense.
Yeah.
We are making sense. And I am proud to be a member of the Divine Nine and share this with my sisters here, because we're a team. We're Team D9. And we do a good job. We're doing a great job. And we support each other. And it's not about any of the different colors we wear. We're really sisters and brothers that believe that what we do it for God's people.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much. As we prepare to close, I always give each of you a chance to just make a closing remark in case there was something you didn't say or mention or want to mention. And so we'll start with you, Dr. Glover, and then we'll go to President Smith and President Liberty, and then we'll ask our bishop to close us out. Dr. Glover, any closing thought?
Well, just to say thank you. Just to say thank you once again for taking this program of this time of Women's History Month to celebrate women leaders, to elevate the Divine Nine, you elevate HBCUs, just elevate Black women. So we appreciate that, and we're just so thankful that God has allowed us to be in this moment and share in this moment with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Glover. President Smith?
I would echo the same feelings that Dr. Glover had. I do thank you for this, Dr. Mason. I think it was a great idea to have a chance to honor these outstanding women in their relationship with the church, particularly the CME Church. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here, and appreciate the opportunity. And always good to see my sisters, and good to meet your bishop. Bishop Jenkins Snorton, it is wonderful to have the opportunity to meet you and to know a little bit more about your relationship with Dr. Kennedy. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smith. President Liberty.
I have to say that I love our Divine Nine unity, number one, because I think people are really seeing the relevance and the power of the Divine Nine in such a special way. I also want to say, we win with Black women. And these women have all been phenomenal, and they've been winning for a long time. And I know each and every one of us want to continue the race that they have all established. Those foundations and those footsteps have been laid for us to really plant our feet in. So I'm grateful to celebrate our 14th International Grand Basileus, Evelyn Hood, and definitely extremely grateful to celebrate all the wonderful women recognized today. Phenomenal histories.
Thank you. President Hollingsworth Baker.
I just want to thank you and say this has been a great opportunity. I'm so happy to be here with all of you, and I know that I will see you all again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bishop Jefferson Snorton.
Well, Dr. Mason, thank you for allowing me to be in the company of these 4 phenomenal women. And I want to say to each one of them, I am so very proud of you and the work that you are doing. And I will hold you in my prayers because I know that your challenges are great, but know that God has chosen you for such a time as this. Thank you also, Dr. Mason, for highlighting women of the church who have made a difference through their sororities. I think it is really important in this day when people want to fracture and divide, to show the unity that goes with how you live your faith. And indeed, the women that you have highlighted today lived their faith through sorority leadership. And I would say to all of those who are watching, please use your gifts. God has given each one of you gifts, and the world needs each one of you, especially to my sisters, especially to the women and girls who may be listening, and a special shout out to the AKAs.
Thank you. Thank you. And speaking of shout outs, I better shout out my mother, who is a staunch member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated as well. So, Mama, I've done that.
Hello, Mom.
Thank you. She would appreciate that. And continue to keep her in your prayers. She is battling through cancer courageously, and we have claimed the victory in that. So just continue to lift her up in your prayers. Let me also say hello to Reverend Pastor Marvin Lou, who is the pastor of Stewart Memorial in Mobile. I want to mention him, as I mentioned, Reverend Reggie Barnes, who's the pastor of Brown Memorial in Louisville, Kentucky. Someone asked me, what about this dashiki you have on? This dashiki I have on is in tribute to the sororities. I got some green in it. I have some red and a little crimson. I have some blue and white and some blue and gold. So this is my tribute to you all. And I was wondering when I was going to get to wear this today. But thank you all for joining me today. I'm so blessed. To these tremendous ladies and leaders, just thank God for you. For my old friends, Glendon Beverly, God bless you. Thank you. Continue to fight the good fight. To my new friends, Valerie and Rashida, and always to my Bishop Teresa Jefferson. So, and on next Sunday, before you go, let me also say, before I go, and let me not forget this, that Evelyn Brown, my dear friend, is a member of Holy Temple CME Church. It was erroneously listed, and it was my fault, as Butler Street, but she's a member of Holy Temple CME Church. So let me correct that now, so that I can rest and sleep in peace tonight. All right. That's what you get when you're trying to pull a program together in the late midnight hours. You know, all of this stuff becomes jumbled. I think on next Sunday, I'm excited about the show. We're going to be looking at 4 amazing women: Arthurine Lucy, Fannie Lou Hammer, Mamie Teal Mobley, and Ruby Doris Smith, and the role that the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church had in the work that they did to advance the cause of civil rights. I am so excited about that, and I want you to join me on next Sunday, good Lord willing, at 5 o'clock. And I tried to find a good old church hymn to close out, but I said, you know what? My girl Whitney Houston was calling my name, and I said, let me just go ahead and close out with this. I'm every woman before Facebook shuts it down. God bless you, my sisters. Take care of yourselves. And now we salute the women of CME Church who are in the Greek letter organizations and sororities, and all of you. Be blessed, stay safe, wear your mask, cover up, get the shot and let's live, and give God the glory.